story starts with a trucker who is hired to transport a mysterious, heavily guarded crate across state lines. As the trip progresses, the crate begins to create strange noises, and the trucker starts experiencing hallucinations and an overwhelming sense of dread. When the crate finally breaks open, the true horror inside is revealed. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon, and wait for the end. I will ask 3 questions. They told me the job was simple. Pick up the crate, don't ask questions, deliver it to the drop point in under 24 hours. A straight shot, just a few hundred miles across state lines. A bonus if I made it early. They even threw in an advance payment more than enough to quiet any protests my gut might have raised. I've hauled some strange loads before: weapons, exotic animals, even government property I didn't want to think too hard about. But this was different. The crate was massive, secured with thick steel bands, and loaded into the back of my rig by a team of men who avoided eye contact. Their uniforms had no logos, just black tactical gear. The only one who spoke was the foreman, a gaunt man with sunken eyes who handed me a clipboard. He didn't say much, but his warning stuck with me. Don't stop. Don't open it. And if you hear anything, ignore it. I laughed nervously, waiting for him to crack a smile. He didn't. His gaze lingered on me a moment too long before he turned on his heel and left. I climbed into the cab, started the engine, and watched as the warehouse disappeared in my rearview mirror. The first few hours were uneventful. Interstate 70 stretched out ahead of me, an endless ribbon of asphalt cutting through the darkness. The hum of the engine was steady, almost soothing. I turned on the radio, flipping through static until I found a station playing classic rock. The music filled the cab, a welcome distraction from the eerie silence of the night. Then it started, a low thump, barely audible over the music. At first, I thought it was the road, a pothole, or a bump, but the sound came again, louder this time. A deliberate, rhythmic pounding, like something inside the crate was moving. I turned the radio off, straining to hear. My pulse quickened. The sound stopped. I told myself it was nothing. Cargo shifts all the time. It's part of the job. Still, I couldn't shake the unease that crept over me. By midnight, the highway was deserted. Just me and the endless stretch of road. The crate thumped again, harder now, shaking the truck slightly. My hands tightened on the wheel. Probably just loose straps, I muttered, trying to convince myself, but deep down, I knew better. This was no ordinary cargo. Around AM, the hallucinations began. At first, it was subtle. Shadows at the edge of my vision, flickering and shifting like they had a mind of their own. I blamed it on fatigue. Long hauls mess with your head if you're not careful. But then I saw it, a figure standing on the side of the road. A man, or maybe something that used to be a man. His limbs were impossibly long, his head tilted at an unnatural angle. As I sped past, his face turned toward me, hollow eyes glowing faintly in the dark. My stomach dropped. I glanced in the rearview mirror, but he was gone. Just empty road stretching behind me. My breathing came fast and shallow. It's not real, I told myself. Just a trick of the light. The crate thumped again, louder this time, like something inside was trying to get out. The truck shuddered, and for a split second, I thought the whole rig might tip over. Panic surged through me. I pulled over to the side of the road, heart hammering in my chest. I killed the engine and sat in silence, listening. The night was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that presses down on you like a weight. Then came the sound of scratching, clawing noise coming from the back of the truck. My mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't leave the cargo. Not without forfeiting the paycheck. I grabbed a flashlight and climbed out of the cab. The night air was cold, biting through my jacket. My boots crunched on the gravel as I made my way to the back of the truck. The scratching grew louder with every step. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling. "Anyone there?" No answer. Just the relentless scratching. My hand shook as I unlocked the latch and threw open the trailer doors. The crate sat in the center of the trailer, its steel bands glinting in the moonlight. The noise stopped the moment I laid eyes on it. I stepped closer, my flashlight beam dancing over the rough wooden surface. Deep gouges marred the wood, as if something inside had been clawing to get out. My stomach churned. Whatever was in there, it was strong. And it wanted out. A low whisper drifted through the air, so faint I thought I might have imagined it. Then it came again, clearer this time. "Let me out." I stumbled back, nearly dropping the flashlight. My mind raced. Was someone in there? Could it be an animal? A person? My hand hovered over the crate, but the foreman's warning echoed in my head. "Don't open it." I slammed the trailer doors shut and locked them, my hands slick with sweat. Back in the cab, I floored the accelerator, desperate to put as much distance as possible between me and whatever was in that crate. BYAM. I was losing it. The hallucinations were worse. Figures darted across the road, their forms shifting and melting like shadows in the sun. The radio crackled to life, spewing static and distorted voices. A child's laughter echoed through the cab, high-pitched and mocking, and the crate wouldn't stop making noise. The pounding was relentless now, shaking the entire truck. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Let me out. Let me out. Let me out." I couldn't take it anymore. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely keep the truck on the road. The drop point was still hours away, and I wasn't sure I'd make it. Then the headlights flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. The engine sputtered, and the truck coasted to a stop. I sat there in the blackness, paralyzed with fear. Something was wrong. I could feel it, a presence, heavy and oppressive, pressing down on me. The crate thumped again, louder than ever. The whispers turned into a chorus, overlapping voices screaming and pleading and laughing. I clapped my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. The sound was inside my head, drilling into my skull. "Shut up." I screamed, my voice ragged. "Just shut up." The noise stopped. The silence was worse. I don't know what possessed me to do it. Maybe it was desperation, or maybe I'd already lost my mind. But I grabbed the tire iron from behind the seat and climbed out of the cab. The night was darker than it should have been, the air thick and heavy. My flashlight flickered, the beam weak and sputtering. I made my way to the back of the truck, every step feeling like a death march. The crate loomed in the trailer, a shadowy monolith. The voices were gone, but the sense of dread was overwhelming. My hands shook as I pried at the steel bands with the tire iron. They gave way with an ear-splitting screech, one by one. When the last band snapped, the crate burst open, the force throwing me backward. I hit the ground hard, the wind knocked out of me. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then I saw it. A figure emerged from the crate, unfolding like a spider. Its limbs were long and skeletal, its skin pale and translucent. Its face was a twisted mockery of a human face, eyes black and empty, mouth stretching impossibly wide. It moved with a jerky, unnatural grace, like a marionette on invisible strings. It turned to me, its head tilting at an unnatural angle. And then it smiled. The last thing I remember is the sound of wet, tearing noise, like meat being ripped from the bone. The world went dark, and I knew no more. I woke up in a ditch, the sun rising on the horizon. The truck was gone. The road was empty. My clothes were torn and bloodstained, but I couldn't find a single scratch on me. My head throbbed, Memories of the night before a jumbled blur. I walked until I found a gas station. The attendant gave me a strange look as I stumbled inside. "You okay, buddy?" he asked. I opened my mouth to answer, but no words came out. In the mirror behind the counter, I caught a glimpse of myself. My face was pale, my eyes sunken, and there, just beneath my skin, something moved. The job was simple. Pick up the crate. Don't ask questions. I should have asked questions. Now, it's time for the 3 questions we talked about earlier. Did you enjoy the story? Is my narration good, or I need to improve it? And the big one, why didn't you subscribe to the channel? Ha ha ha, just kidding. The comments section is all yours. I'd love to hear your feedback.